Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi will deliver his maiden State of the Province address this afternoon. For more on this, we cross now to my colleague Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who's covering the story for us. A very good afternoon, Mbalenhle. What can we expect from the Premier?
Well, certainly, Nomput. Besides from the rain, you would have seen us moving from outside and to underneath the tent where we are safe and sound. We can expect a speech that's going to take a very tough stance on crime. Now, the first time we heard the Premier speaking on crime and some initiatives that will be introduced in order to try and assist law enforcement in the province was when he was speaking during an Imbizo in Finetown following a mass shooting, where he spoke about the introduction of cameras in parts of Gauteng or all parts of Gauteng that would be able to detect people's faces. Now, these are face recognition cameras, as well as drones, as well as a panic button to assist police to respond very quickly to incidents of crime, gender-based violence, whatever you name it. I'm joined by the spokesperson of the Premier right now, who's going to give us a better sense of what South Africans and residents can expect from that speech. Thank you so much for speaking to us. What can we expect? I mean, the Premier has really taken a tough stance on crime. Are we going to see this come out of his maiden speech?
Yeah, indeed. I think the crime is one of the major focus that the residents of Gauteng must look for. As you'll know, wherever he went, he was speaking about that. Talking to you now, Mbali, you've got about 6,000 young men and women who are in actual training. So the Premier will speak about that. He will speak about the number of cars that will have actually, bought for the province. We'll speak about the drones that must then augment. Also, we'll speak about the partnership that we are actually having with the private sector to make sure that this battle is not a battle for government alone, but it's really a battle for everyone that is there. We'll actually be rolling out the panic buttons to actually majority of the residents of Gauteng so that they are able, whenever they are under stress or distress, they are able to use that panic button. Then those 6,000 young men and women who are in training are able to basically respond.
So certainly just beefing up resources to try and tackle the scourge of crime in the province and ensure that South Africans or residents live in a safe environment. But one of the key issues that many South Africans are worried about is the issue of energy. We've seen different municipalities talking about measures or introducing measures outside of Eskom. You know, what can we expect in that regard?
You'll know the Premier during the week did Energy Expo, where he was meeting the financial institutions, private financial institutions, the DFIs within the country, including those people that are in the space. We're going to go quite big in terms of the actual investment that we're going to be doing. So the Premier will speak quite intensively what Gauteng will be doing in terms of the energy security together with the municipalities within Gauteng.
Certainly. I mean, something else that also comes to mind is what's happening within municipalities. You know, we've seen the Democratic Alliance coming out and saying that they would like to see him talk about, stabilizing municipalities. Your thoughts on that?
No, it is in that speech in terms of the municipalities and actually working closer with the municipalities to make sure that they basically don't collapse. Also including the infrastructure, there are some agreements that finally with some of the municipalities who have agreed for us to basically come in and basically assist them. So we'll be doing that work. But more importantly, it will be around the issue of the townships, the hostels. There are already work that has been done in that space, and the Premier will speak to the people who are actually residing in hostels to make sure that the conditions are actually quite livable.
So when you speak of townships and hostels, are you talking about social housing programs, the rollout of that, the refurbishments of those hostels, improving the lives of people, the living standards rather, in those areas?
Quite correct. It's about their living standards. If you can go to any hostel now among the 6 in Gauteng, they'll tell you that they've got Wi-Fi. So we have actually implemented some of the things that the Premier has already actually said we're going to do. But not only that, but also the economic aspect. You'll remember that Premier Makura will have passed, the Township Economic Development Act. Now we want to make that act to be livable. So some of the things and some of the programs that the Premier will actually announce on will be in line with that particular act to make sure that majority of our people in the township, in hostel, informal settlement, they participate in the mainstream of the economy in Gauteng.
Certainly. I mean, we've also seen intentions to introduce more digital platforms for residents to be able to access government services. And, you know, with load shedding and all, it just makes it that much more difficult. I mean, you and me have experienced not being able to receive a WhatsApp message because of load shedding and the network is down and so on. But, I mean, how do you then navigate around that? Because if everything is dependent on the internet and there's still that issue of load shedding and connectivity, how does it all come together?
Well, that's why the Premier, when he actually engages, will tell you where we are moving in the government space to make sure that we then start to go through the renewables so that our people have got actually that access. And we're going to go quite wide insofar as the energy is concerned, including the GBN that we're basically rolling out. So as and when the energy is sorted out, but we are able to have our people having the ability to participate in the Internet of Things and having access to free Wi-Fi and all that, because that's where we are currently. It's starting to be a human rights issue not to have an internet. So we want to make sure that people of Gauteng have that.
Before I let you go, the roads, driving on the roads, especially after the rains, there are a lot of potholes. Some roads are very damaged. You've got residents trying to fix them themselves. Are there any plans to try and resolve those issues? And also following the floods and affected residents?
You'll appreciate that majority of what we'll call the provincial roads are relatively in good state. It's only the roads that belong to the municipalities. So we had a conversation with the municipalities. They've agreed that we must actually work together. The Premier is going to go quite intensively what has been that relationship to respond exactly to the issue that you're talking about.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking to us. We've run out of time, really. Thank you. That was Vuyomaga speaking on the speech that we expect to hear a little bit later on today, which is the State of the Province address by the Premier Panyaza Lesufi. It's back to you in studio.
Thanks very much, my colleague there, Mbalenhle Mthethwa.